Boundaries are biblical. Welcome back to Becoming Better Daily, where we are becoming better mentally, physically, spiritually. Now, the reason I want to talk about this, and I've been thinking about this for weeks actually now, is because sometimes we have a hard time distinguishing how to help somebody, who to help, and what boundaries to set. And so the story that I'm gleaming from, I'm going to have to put the scripture in the bio below because I'm just recalling a story. But there is a story of a man who is like in a mountain or somewhere then on a deserted island. And he basically he had demonic oppression, right? So he was cutting himself. He was in the cave and he was just going through a lot of stuff, right? And so Jesus comes out there and he finds this man. And so as a result, when Jesus encounters him, he actually clears him. He rids him of the demonic oppression, right? But then this is what the man does. When God goes out there to do his purpose, when Jesus goes out there to do his purpose of freeing this man tried to overstep his boundaries. This man, when Jesus healed him, Jesus was about to get back in his boat and leave. And the man tried to ask if he could get in Jesus's boat and leave with him. And you know what Jesus responded? Jesus told the man, no, he said, you can't come with me. He said, what I'm going to tell you to do is go back and tell everybody in the city or that you know what I did for you. And so that scripture has been showing me how boundaries are biblical. Jesus knew the difference between when he was on a mission to heal somebody, and that's where it was. He knew when he was on a mission to get disciples. Jesus specifically chose 12 disciples. And even in those 12 disciples, he had three main disciples that joined him in his transfiguration. That's what it's called. So when they seen Jesus transform from like man to spirit, when he went to the mountain and he encountered God and God came down and they seen how he looked different, he only brought three people with him. So even amongst those 12 people, God had three that was closer to him. And so, I want to say this because sometimes people, we feel bad that we setting boundaries or you help somebody and then what was something was actually a purpose or was actually a mission or something that God sent you to take care of. We could take the mission on the boat with us or we could be tempted to. And so we have to know our boundaries, that boundaries are biblical. Jesus didn't even let everyone have access to him. Even when he taught, I was reading this morning in Matthew, I think chapter 5. Yeah, I'm in chapter 5. He was helping these people. He was speaking words of wisdom to them from the top of the mountain. So he went to the top of the mountain to speak down on to the multitudes. A lot of times Jesus went out into the middle of the ocean and spoke to different multitudes of people. Like he knew about proximity. And so we have to know who are we letting get access to us. We have to be wise about what is the purpose of this person being in my life. How am I here to serve? And that is not an easy thing to do because sometimes, and y'all know, let's be real. Sometimes the mission that God sent us on, we end up dating or we end up trying to best friend the mission that God sent us on, or we emotionally invested and tied in a mission that God sent us on. So we need to understand that boundaries are biblical and we need to constantly be asking God, what is the purpose that you would have me to serve in this person's life? Because believe it or not, one thing that I'm learning is that everything has a season. The life you're living right now, at the place you're living right now, with the people that you're living right now, is not going to be the same for the next 30, 40, 50 years. Even if you really love those people, there's seasons, there's transformations that happen. There's moving around that happens. And so we have to be constant about, number one, creating biblical boundaries, not the boundaries that serve our emotions, the boundaries that we think, but what does God want from this? Is this a person God is allowing in our life for a long term? Jesus had the 12 disciples in his life for a long time, but he didn't have everybody that he preached to as his best friend. Everybody didn't have access to Jesus. Everybody couldn't call Jesus. He had a main group that he was teaching, that he was let walk with him on a journey. And we have to be mindful about that. And even in that journey, there was people who betrayed him. Judas did betray him. Who was it? Peter, who denied him 3 times. So all of this happens, but there has to be biblical boundaries because Jesus showed us that, and we have to be seeking God to understand who and why and how will God like us to be in their life and them to be in our life. So I just wanted to share that message today. You guys have a blessed day. I love y'all, and Stay prayed up, y'all. All right, I'm out.